ॐ अखण्डमण्डलाकारं व्याप्तं येन चराचरं तत्पदं दर्शितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः। नमो गुरुभ्यः, नमो अर्भकेभ्यः. I welcome all to this session of the lecture series of Ancient Indian Literature conducted by National Institute of Vedic Science. In the last session, we were discussing about the different branches of science that evolved in India in ancient times. So today we shall discuss about physics, as it is the study of nature around us. Universe we see around us is highly complex in its nature. On every day, we will be observing a great variety of objects and phenomena. The human being is curious about everything from the flight of birds to the colors of flowers, from lightning to gravity, from quarks to galaxies around him. We have assembled an enormous amount of data about all these facts over a long period of time. The human race has collected this by questioning, by inquisitive nature. The curiosity and questioning nature of man has led him into many discoveries and inventions. The thought process was going on parallelly throughout the world. The study of the physical world, as is named as physics, Bhauta Shastra in India, as it is the study of is the study about the five great elements. In the light of facts and figures collected by man over a flow of time, we have discovered that a surprisingly small and unified set of physical laws can explain what we observe. As humans, we make generalizations and seek order. We have found that nature is remarkably cooperative. It exhibits the underlying order and simplicity. It is the underlying order of nature that makes science in general and physics in particular so enjoyable to study. Science consists of the theories and laws that are the general truths of nature as well as the study of knowledge they encompass. Scientists are continually trying to expand this body of knowledge and to perfect the expression of laws that describe it. Physics is concerned with describing the interactions of energy, matter, space, and time, and it is especially interested in what fundamental mechanisms underlie every phenomenon. In India also, this branch of knowledge can find its roots since Vedic period. Different schools of philosophy such as Sankhya, Nyaya, Vaisheshika, Jainism, Buddhism, and others have a detailed study about the physical world around us. They have made a journey from Paramanu, that is the atom, to the creation of universe, including matter and energy and various forms of energy. The study of this journey reveals the deep knowledge of our ancestors in these areas. As the subject is very vast and deep, the concepts are innumerable and our time is too short. So we can have some glimpses of our ancestors in this area. Uh, Let us know the study of philosophical schools one by one. In this session, let us take the school of Sankhya. This school has the earliest clear and comprehensive account of cosmic evolution, has a positive principle based on conservation, transformation, and dissipation of energy. According to this school, Prakriti is formless, limitless, undecaying, uncontrolled, undifferentiated, indestructible, underground, without the beginning and the end. Prakriti is the first cause of the manifest material universe. of everything except the Purusha. Prakriti accounts for whatever is physical, both mind and matter come energy or force. Since it is the first principal tattva of the universe, it is called Pradhana, but as it is the unconscious and unintelligent principle, it is also called as Jada. Purusha is the universal cosmic consciousness. Prakriti is the choiceful consciousness. Both of them are eternal, timeless, and immeasurable. Purusha and Prakriti exist in each and every body, every one of us, as well as inanimate objects. Purusha is not moving at all, he is the silent witness, while Prakriti is the divine creative which dances the dance of creation. In the manifestation of nature from Prakriti, the first expression is Mahat, intelligence, or cosmic order, that is Buddhi in humans. Next is Ahankar or the ego, the sense of self identity, the center in our consciousness from where we think, act, and react. Ahankara is expressed in three universal qualities sattva, rajas, and tamas. It is composed of three essential characteristics, that is, three gunas. These are sattva, purity, stability, clarity, and light. Rajas, movement, sensations, feelings, and emotions. Tamas, lethargy, darkness, ignorance, and heaviness. So, the 25 tattvas in Sankhya are this: Purusha, Prakriti, Mahat, and Ahankara. There are three types of Ahankara: Sattva, Rajasa, and Tamasa, and Manas. From Sattva Ahankara, Indriyas of cognition, that is the five sense organs, the eye, the ear, the nose, the tongue, and the skin will evolve. And from Indriyas of action, that is hands, feet, speech, excretory organ, and reproductory organs are evolved. From Tamasa Ahankara, Tanmatras of sound, touch, form, flavor, and sight will evolve, and from them the evolutes are Panchabhutas, Akasha, that is space, air, fire, water, and earth. So these are the 25 tattvas that are described in the school of Sankhya. From sattva comes the mind, five sense faculties, and five motor organs. From tamas comes the five senses according to the five gross elements. Rajas is important for the movement of the two previous ones. Without rajas, sattva and tamas are dormant. So this is the another representation. Sattva guna is the tendency of manifestation, the medium for the reflection of intelligence. Rajoguna is the energy, that which is efficient in a phenomenon, tendency to do work. Tamoguna is mass or inertia, tendency to rajas to do work, or sattva to conscious manifestation. All physical events are considered to be the manifestations of the evolution of Prakriti or primal nature from which all physical bodies are derived. Each sentient being or jiva is a fusion of Purusha and Prakriti, whose soul or Purusha is limitless and unrestricted by its physical body. Samsara or bondage arises when the Purusha does not have the discriminate knowledge and so is misled as to its own identity, confusing itself with ego or ahankara, which is actually an attribute of Prakriti. The spirit liberated when the discriminate knowledge of the difference between conscious Purusha and unconscious Prakriti is realized by the Purusha. The unconscious primordial materiality, Prakriti, contains 23 components, as we told earlier. Thought process and mental events are conscious only to the extent they receive illumination from Purusha. In Sankhya, Consciousness is compared to light, which illuminates the material configurations or shapes assumed by the mind. So, intellect, that is buddhi, after receiving cognitive structures from the mind and illumination from pure consciousness, creates thought structures that appear to be conscious. Ahankara, the ego phenomenal self, appropriates all mental experiences to itself and thus personalizes the objective activities of mind and intellect by assuming possession of them. Personalizes the objective activities of, but consciousness itself is independent of the thought structures it illuminates. By including mind in the realm of matter, Sankhya avoids one of the most serious pitfalls of the Cartesian dualism, the violation of physical conservation laws. Because mind is an evolute of matter, mental events are granted causal efficacy and are therefore able to initiate bodily motions. The idea of evolution in Sankhya revolves around the interaction of Prakriti and Purusha. Prakriti remains unmanifested as long as the three gunas are in equilibrium. This equilibrium of the gunas is disturbed when Prakriti comes into proximity with consciousness or Purusha. The disequilibrium of the gunas triggers an evolution that leads to the manifestation of the world from an unmanifested Prakriti. Some evolutes of Prakriti can cause further evolution and are labeled evolvents. For example, intellect, while itself created out of Prakriti, causes the evolution of ego sense or ahankara and is therefore an evolvent. While other evolutes like the five elements do not cause further evolution. It is important to note that an evolvent is defined as a principle which behaves as the material cause for the evolution of another principle. So, in definition, while the five elements are the material cause of all living beings, they cannot be evolvents because living beings are not separate from the five elements in essence. The intellect first evolute of Prakriti is called Mahat or the Great One. It causes the evolution of ego sense or self-consciousness. Evolution from self-consciousness is affected by the dominance of gunas. So, dominance of Sattva guna causes the evolution of five organs of perceptions, five organs of action and the mind. Dominance of Tamoguna triggers the evolution of five subtle elements: sound, touch, sight, taste, smell from self-consciousness. These five subtle elements are themselves evolvents and cause the creation of the five gross elements: space, air, fire, water and earth. Rajas is the cause of action in the evolutes. Purusha is pure consciousness, absolute, eternal, and subject to no change. It is neither a product of evolution nor the cause of any evolute. Evolution in Sankhya is thought to be powerful. The two primary purposes of evolution of Prakriti are the enjoyment and the liberation of Purusha. The 23 evolutes of Prakriti are categorized: internal instruments, intellect, buddhi, atha or mahat, ego, sense, ahankara, mind, manaha are evolvents. External instruments, five sense organs, jnanendriyas, five organs of action, karmendriyas are evolutes. Subtle elements, form, sound, smell, taste and touch are evolvents, and gross elements, earth, water, fire and air and space are the evolutes. The order of cosmic evolution can be placed in this order: the inconceivable, the unknowable, the formless of which no character can be predicated, including Prakriti or the state of equilibrium of Trigunas; the knowable, the empirical universe, things as matter or stuff of consciousness, comprising Mahat, evolved by the differentiation and integration within the formless, characterless, inconceivable Prakriti; individual but indeterminate stuff, dividing into two series or subject experience and object experience, comprising the empirical ego on one hand and the ultimate constituents of material world on the other hand. Sensory and motor stuff in the series of subject experience, a corresponding atomic matter stuff in the form of specific sensible energies. The latter includes the different classes of paramanus, the different kinds of atomic constituents of the different kinds of grass matter or sthula bhuta. See, uh, we know it is the pioneer or the founder of Sankhya philosophy is Kapila. His time and date are not known properly, but it is definite that he belonged to the first millennium BCE. So he has given the concept of atoms, and in modern science, the atomic theory is given by Dalton in 16th century AD. Coherent and integrated, and he has also said about the paramanus and the energies in the sensible energies in the paramanus, and they also know they did know that these paramanus or atoms consisted enormous amount of energy. This is revealed by this statement or evolution. Coherent and integrated matter stuff characterized by generic and specific properties which are not rigidly fixed but fluent, being subject to the change in trigunas and constantly evolving. Thus, the cosmic series moves on in the ascending stages of unstable equilibrium. Conservation of energy, the mass, and the transformation of energy. The trigunas, though assuming an infinite diversity of forms and powers, can neither be created nor destroyed. The totality of the Moguna mass and Rajoguna energy remains constant. If both of manifested and unmanifested, the actual and potential are taken into account. But the individual products of the evolutionary process are subject to addition and subtraction, growth and decay, which are only due to the changes in combination and consequent changes of state from the potential to the actual. Now, we have to compare this. Anthony Lavoisier discovered law of conservation of mass in the year 1789 AD. The founder of Sankhya philosophy is Sage Kapila. As I mentioned, he belonged to first millennium BCE. He has told about the conservation of mass and energy. Now it is up to you to decide who is more scientific and logical in thinking, whether it is India or the Western world. We can have a classic example of space and time concept in Bhagavata Purana. One such classic example is that the king Kakudmi and his daughter Revati, who travel to different lokas and return to earth in future time. Kakudmi, a descendant of the sun race, that is Surya Vamsha, had a daughter Revati, was so beautiful and so accomplished that when she reached the marriageable age, Kakudmi, thinking no one upon earth was worthy of her, went to the creator himself, Lord Brahma, to seek his advice about a suitable husband for his daughter. When they arrived, Brahma was listening to a musical performance by the Gandharvas, so they waited patiently until the performance was finished. Then Kakudmi bowed down humbly, made his request, and presented his short list of candidates. Humbly made his request and presented his short list of candidates to him. Brahma laughed loudly and explained that time runs in different planes of existence and that during a few minutes, wait, already 27 Chaturyugas have elapsed by that time. Brahma said to Kakudmi, O king, all those whom you may have decided within the core of your heart to accept as your son-in-law have died in the course of time. 27 Chaturyugas have already passed. Those upon whom you may have already decided are now gone. Brahma said to Kakudmi, O king, all those whom you may have decided within the core of your heart to accept as your son in law have died in the course of time. 27 Chatur Yugas have already passed. These are those upon whom you may have already decided are now gone, and so are their sons, grandsons, and other descendants. You cannot even hear about their names. You must therefore bestow your daughter upon some other husband, or you may you alone and your friends, your ministers, servants, wives, kinsmen, treasures have long since been swept away by the hand of time. King Kakudmi was astonished on hearing these views. However, Brahma comforted him and added that Supreme Lord himself, with his plenary portion Balarama, had appeared currently on earth in the forms of Krishna and Balarama, and he recommended Balarama as a worthy husband for Revati. This story tells us about the concept of space and time and their knowledge about it. Let us take the time, space, and the causal series. A Tanmatra, infraatomic particle of subtle matter, is conceived by our understanding to stand in three relations. One is position in space, that is Deshavachinna, position in time series, Kalavachinna, and position in the causal series, Nimittavachinna. These three relations are the work of intuitive stage of knowledge. Nirvikalpa Prajna as opposed to the conceptual, that is Savikalpa Prajna. But this is not the pure relationless intuition of reality, which may be termed intellectual intuition, but the intuition that imposes its forms on the real substrate, or in the other words, empirical intuition. Infinite time is a non-entity objectively considered, being only a construction of the understanding based on the relation of antecedents and sequence in which the members of the phenomenal series are intuited to stand to one another. These phenomenal changes as intuited by us in the empirical consciousness fall into a series which the understanding conceive as order in time. The time series then in a scheme of understanding for representing the course of evolution. So the understanding on the phenomenal world as order in time, and hence the empirical consciousness, the time series appears to have an objective reality and to form a continuum. As there is an ultimate and irreducible unit of extensive quality, parimana, in the gunas or uh, reals of Prakriti, which are without constituent parts. So the moment may be conceived as the ultimate or irreducible unit of this time continuum as represented in the empirical consciousness. Space as extension and space as position. Space must be distinguished as desha, locus or rather extension, dik, relative position, and space as the totality of position is wholly relative to understanding, like order in time being constructed on the basis of relations of position intuited by our empirical consciousness. But there is this difference between space order and time order. There is no unit of space in position as position dik, though we may conceive as a unit of time, namely the moment, regarded as the unit of change in the phenomenal or causal series. It results only from the different relations in which all pervasive akasha stands to the various finite bounded objects. On the other hand, space as extension or locus of a finite body, desha or sthityadhara, has an ultimate unit being analyzable into infinitesimal extensive quantity inherent in the reals, that is gunas of Prakriti. The causal series, the relation of cause and effect, has been already explained. It only remains to add that the category of causality is mediated through the scheme in order time. The empirical intuition first superimposes relations of antecedents and sequence on changing phenomena, that is the evolving gunas, and understanding out of these relations creates order in time. The empirical intuition then intuits the phenomenal series of transformation of energy in this time order, and in so doing imports the relation of cause and effect into the course of nature. So the dissipation of energy, cosmic evolution in the twofold process, creative as well as destructive, dissimulative as well as assimilative. In one aspect, there is the aggregation of mass and energy with consequent transformation of energy, resulting in the creation of inorganic as well as organic matter and the genesis of worlds. The successive steps of this process may be described as equal segregation with storing up of energy in certain collocation under a state of arrest, that is, in a state relatively stable equilibrium. A stimulus removing the arrest and disturbing the equilibrium, the liberation of energy, moving on to a fresh collocation, fresh aggregation, arrest and equilibrium. The process of the world thus moves on from equilibrium to equilibrium, and the result of that process in the development of coherent, determinate, heterogeneous whole in what is essentially incoherent, indeterminate, homogeneous whole. So, in the next session, let us continue with the evolution of matter, that is from first radium, the tanmatras, to the gross, that is the gross elements or five great elements. So, Namo Gurubhyaha, Namo Arbhakebhyaha.